Hey, good morning. It is Thursday, and this is Thursday Morning Live. Welcome back. Hey, if you are here for the first time, I want to thank you for showing up and thank the person who invited you because I think you're in for a treat this morning. My guest is a longtime friend, somebody with a lot of experience in the multifamily business, and we'll introduce Veena in a minute. But I want to remind you, coming up October 17th and 18th is my fifth annual multifamily summit. This virtual event this year, I've been telling people buckle up because we are going to blow it apart this year. I have over 20 speakers and panelists. I have some really well-renowned sponsors this year, CoStar, CSSI, and the lineup of speakers is just incredible. This is an event this year you're not going to want to miss. And the beauty of a virtual event, right? You can do this from your office, from your home. You can be in your sweats. You can be in your dress clothes, whatever you want to do, just participate because there's going to be a lot of networking, a lot of teaching, a lot of education. You're not going to want to miss this event. Absolutely guaranteed that. So this morning, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring my guest in, Veena Jetti. Veena is a longtime experienced multifamily owner operator. I think she's got about $1 billion under contract, but we'll talk to her about that in a minute. And want you to listen in to the key points here this morning and how she got to where she's at, because some of this is really going to be beneficial for you. So stand by. Veena, how are you?
Hello, I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Good to see you again. It's been a while.
I know we were just talking. It's like pre-COVID, maybe.
Yeah,
Long time
possibly.
ago.
Yeah, yeah. So glad that's all behind us for sure.
Yes, seriously.
Jeez, I knew. I have to say that I knew when they said we're closing the world down for 2 weeks that it was going to be a lot longer than 2 weeks, right?
Yes, and you
So
were absolutely right. And so don't want to do that again.
yeah, I make some predictions once in a while that are pretty good, and I kind of
Oh,
knew that
goodness.
one was coming, but.
That's so funny.
Yeah, what's interesting though, it almost seems like the world's back to where we were pre-COVID,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like we're getting pretty close.
Yeah. And even just things like travel. I flew through the Charlotte airport last week
Yeah.
and I was amazed at how crowded it was.
Oh, especially Charlotte. I was just there the week before you, and it is a very crowded airport, especially for how big it is.
Yeah, yeah. So it was interesting. And of course, I got off in gate B and had to go or
Yeah.
gate C and had to go to A.
Yeah.
And so that was pleasant. So
Well, it happens to the best of us.
yeah. So listen, real quick, why don't you tell people who you are, what you do, about your business, and what you've been working on?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Veena Jetti. I'm the founder of a company called Vive Funds. I'm also founder of the Multify community. And the Multify community is a space for like-minded investors to get together, and we do deals together. We support each other. It's a real estate community of like-minded individuals. On Vive Funds, we're large multifamily owner operators. I think Mike maybe mentioned it earlier, but I have bought and sold over $1 billion of multifamily assets in my own portfolio. And I've raised over 375 million in retail equity across my portfolio. And I'm really excited for the summit in October.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Hey, I think that's an interesting number. You say that number again that you've raised in retail private investors,
Yes, 375 million.
and that is just people writing 50, 100, $500,000 checks.
Yeah, so my average check size is 178,000.
Wow.
Now, obviously, we have some larger checks. We have some funds that invest in us. They'll write checks that are larger, maybe like 5 to 7 million. I have some smaller funds that come in at like 1 million to 3 million. And then a lot of our investors, retail investors, they invest anywhere from 100 to $1 million on their own.
So that's pretty awesome. That's what I call capital raising on steroids.
Well, you have to be. Our last deal we closed, we had to raise $66 million. So kind of got
Wow.
to steroids do that.
And so that's probably a long way from your first deal. right?
Oh, yeah.
What,
My
so
gosh.
uh, uh, how big was your first deal
Yeah.
in comparison to this last?
Now, okay, so my very first multifamily deal was 15.9 million. And my, as of right now, my largest deal we've transacted on is 131.5 million.
Wow, good for you.
Yes.
And are you targeted in a specific markets, or what do you look at?
Yeah, so our focus areas right now are Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Arizona. We have other markets that we're interested in, but we like to study our markets before we enter them. So those are the ones we're really targeting with our focus right now.
Okay. And not to give away any secrets, but what
Yeah.
is, I had somebody on my show last week and we were talking about raising capital.
Mm.
And he said, and actually it was John Kasman.
Oh yeah,
Um,
well
and
done.
John said, it's so different raising capital today versus what it was 2 years ago.
100%.
And so what have you tweaked or added or not doing anymore
Mhm.
from your capital raising efforts today than what you were doing, a while ago?
Yeah, I love this question. I'm going to be talking more about this. Obviously, we'll have more time at the fifth multifamily summit that you're hosting in October. And I'm going to be keynoting. So I'm going to get an opportunity to really get into the weeds of exactly how I think about deals and how I look at deals and capital raising. So just the 30-second highlight reel is, yes, it is a very different environment than it was 2 years ago. Like I said, last year we raised $66 million for a deal. The way that we're talking to investors is very different. The educational hurdle is very different than it was 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago. And now it's harder because investors aren't just throwing money at you. You have to actually know what you're doing and be able to explain it to be able to get those investors to believe in you. So I think one thing to be aware of right now is debt and general capital stack structure. If you can figure out efficiencies in your capital stack, you have a way higher chance of having a successful capital raise. Two, when we were in 2021, 2020 and raising capital, we didn't have to worry that much about getting overraised on soft commitments like we did, but now you need more in soft commitments. So back then, if I needed $1 million, I'm probably getting about 1.3 million in soft commitments. Today, I'm going to like 1.5, maybe 2 million to get that same $1 million funded. But smart capital is moving into the market. So we're seeing a lot of family offices, ultra high net worth investors. In other words, rich people believe in multifamily today more than they ever have. And scared money and some of the more novice retail investors or unsophisticated investors, we're seeing them move out of the market, which is the exact opposite of what most people should be doing, or at least how you're thinking about the market cycle. And the third tip, I'm going to give you at the summit.
Ah, perfect. I love that. Lost leader, because I'm going to listen for sure.
I love
Um,
it.
I had, it's interesting you said about smart money coming back into the market, right?
Yeah.
I think smart money pulled out and said, well, we're going to just sit back and watch what happens. And a lot of people thought that this was going to be a lot worse than it was. But I think we're coming out of it. And I've been actually saying for a year and a half, this is going to be a soft landing. I think that we're going to exit this a lot simpler than everybody is thinking or saying. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I was in a conversation with Neil Bawa the other day, who also is going to be at the event.
Yeah.
But Neil Bawa said that he believes the end of this year, and his belief is always data based, right? So
Mhm.
I always tell people, hey, can you defend the data, right?
Yeah.
Where's it coming from? But his
Yes.
belief's always data based or data driven.
Yeah.
And he said that the end of this year, we're done. We're going to turn the corner.
Oh,
So
from his
I
mouth to God's ears.
yeah, right.
I'm
I
ready.
heard, I think that's a big prediction. So,
Are you ready to skyrocket your investment portfolio and leave a legacy? Are you tired of inconsistent returns received in the stock market? Then it's time you take a look at alternative investment options like a passive investment in multifamily real estate. No tenants, trash, or toilets. Just a solid return on an annual investment, including quarterly returns along the way. These lower risk and secure assets are also a great hedge against inflation. If you want to hear more about these types of opportunities, email me directly to schedule a 15-minute consultation to see if you qualify. You can email me at mike@mycoreintentions.com.
And so,
I think it is too. I think there's more speculation happening right now around where interest rates going, right? And you and I share an attorney. I think you use Nick McGrew.
no, I use Dugan Kelly.
Oh, I thought you were using Nick. Okay. I was going to say, we talk about this a lot, and he said he's speaking about this with a lot of his clients because they have to disclose risks, right? And it's hard for us to make any kind of predictions around where the market's going, where it's been. I mean, it's certainly not a risk we would disclose in our documents. However, because it's not a risk, right? Like I can't say interest rates are going to go up or going to go down. I don't know. But we do disclose interest rate risk because I think that's going to be the driving factor on how the market turns and how quickly it turns.
100%. Yeah. So, if you had to put a prediction out there, where do you think we're headed?
Okay, I feel like I want to speak into the universe what I want to be true, which is I'd like to obviously see some interest rate cuts.
So do it.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. Although I read an article yesterday saying that there's a chance that there could be an interest rate hike. I don't think that that's accurate because, we're in an election year. I think we'll probably see a cut sometime in the next couple of months, especially as we get closer to election. I think we'll see at least one. I'm hopeful that we see a second round of cuts. The challenge is inflation isn't really coming down.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the question we have to ask.
Well, I think that people are spending money, people are still working.
Yeah.
GDP is up. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the data and you go, what's really going on here?
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely going to be an interesting year. I do think big prediction for me is that the next 12 to 24 months are going to be maybe the largest opportunity to buy multifamily definitely the largest opportunity I've ever seen, maybe the largest opportunity I'll ever see in my lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I run with a couple of other guys that run pretty big companies. And they're saying the same thing. They're in that space of, I look at multifamily like this, you've got your small multifamily, right? Then you've kind of got that next step up, which is, starter, maybe 100 to 150 units. And then you got the middle markets, right? And then above middle markets. And these guys run in that middle market sector. And I would kind of classify you in that middle market sector as well. But they're saying the same thing, that they're starting to see really good deals. And if you've got some rescue capital on the side, there's real good opportunities out there.
100%. There's a lot of rescue capital opportunities.
So, hey, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the summit coming up. I'm super stoked about the summit this year. And I just tell people, I say, hey, buckle up for this because this year is going to be great. I mean, we kicked day one off with Matt Faircloth, right? And we end day two with you. And the people in between are just as great.
Oh, yeah.
I have a panel on raising capital. I have a panel of top producers. These 5 individuals on this panel have done over 100,000 units in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So we're talking about big people. So I am always telling people, hey, whether you're just getting started in the business, there's going to be plenty for you for that. Or whether you're somebody who's in the business trying to go to the next level, there's going to be a lot for you for that.
Yeah.
So I'm real excited about you being there. What are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, so I'm going to give you guys the behind the scenes of how to raise capital, essentially how I raised the $375 million that I've raised for my deals. I'm going to tell you the basic functions of how to get there because it's not really as complex as you think. And like Mike said, it is someone just starting off with zero experience can use it and it'll work. And someone who's trying to raise $375 million, it'll work for you too. I've done it. I've been there. I've been the person that walks into the room, goes, I have no idea how to raise capital. I've never done it before. What do I do? This is scary. This is overwhelming. I get it. I've been there. I'm also now in the shoes where I'm like, okay, we got to raise $66 million in 8 weeks. Can we do this? And so I've done both of those. I've done everything in between. I'm going to be pulling back the curtain. I'm going to be sharing with you my story and how I raise this capital so you guys can take it and go implement it.
Yeah, interesting. Hey, I just, from a fundamental standpoint, raising 66 million in equity to do a deal. Did you put a couple of tranches of pref equity in there, or?
There's one tranche of pref equity in there. What we do is actually the way we structure our deals. We have a multi-class system structure, which is, it's actually a structure that I came up with Nick when we were working through some of the SEC concerns that I had and he had about how we can make this work to attract those larger checks. So it's been the single most powerful thing that we've done that has taken us from being able to raise, like my first deal, I had to raise $1.2 million. Very different than raising $66 million.
Right.
But we've figured out different steps and unique systems along the way that we've implemented into our business to make it possible just at that scale. And now now that I'm looking backward, right, I'm able to see the pattern and I'm able to pinpoint the things that I would have told Veena 10, 12, 15 years ago that I've learned today.
Yeah, interesting. And how long have you been in the business?
So I left corporate real estate in 2012 and started investing for myself. Before that, I do come from a real estate family. So my mom is a single family investor. She never had multifamily in her portfolio. So when people are like, how long have you been in real estate? I'm like, I don't know. I think I was kind of born with it in my blood a little bit. So I'm going to be 38 years old this year. And so for 38 years, I guess.
Okay. Wow. Long time.
So yes,
I love people that grew up in the business.
Yeah.
Unlike me, I didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs and you and I were talking about it before we started this morning about the passion about it.
yeah.
Right? I love it. So
Absolutely.
Somebody says, why don't you do something else? I said, because I don't know how to do anything else. What else is there?
Nothing else seems fun enough. It's funny. I was recording another podcast this morning and then one of the questions he asked me, he's like, knowing everything you know now, would you do it again? And I said, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. It is hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah. And you know my story. This is my second time in the business and, and I went right back after it. So
you've got a great story. I love how transparent you are with it because I think that shows the character of a person when you can say, hey, I made a mistake. I did something wrong and I'm now moving forward from that. And look, you're a testament to what can be done when you have the right mindset.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for saying that.
Of course.
Hey, as we wind down here, I want to ask a question. So, what message would you give to somebody who's wrestling with the idea of coming to the summit this year as an attendee, right? Somebody wants to come and listen. Why should they come? Why should they be there?
Okay, so I'm actually gonna steal an idea from my mindset coach, Rosie Noel. She's incredible. I work with her twice a week, and you'll figure out why as soon as I tell you this. So you can stay where you are and you can stay still, and that's fine if that's your choice, but that is going to be uncomfortable because you're not going to get to your full potential that way. You're not going to be doing the things that you were meant to do. That's one kind of discomfort. If you do come, yes, maybe it's uncomfortable. You have to take 2 days off work. You have to spend time, money, energy, effort, intention being there. That's also going to be uncomfortable. So you're going to be uncomfortable either way. Choose which discomfort you want. Do you want the discomfort that's going to keep you where you are today? I doubt it. Most of us are not fulfilled and satisfied when we're not growing. The other discomfort is making that small movement towards something bigger and better. And you know what? If you walk away saying multifamily and investments are not for you, you will not be dumber for being in that room. You will be smarter and you will be better for it, even if you decide not to get into this field or to put in the work that we're willing to put in, you can still learn something. You can still be better for being in that room.
Awesome. Well spoken. Well, listen, thank you for your time today. I graciously appreciate it. And
Appreciate it.
I'm looking forward. We got a couple things coming up between now and the summit. We'll connect again. If I can do anything for you or your world, don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
Hey,
Likewise.
how do people connect with you if they want to talk with you? You want to point people in a direction?
Yeah, you can go to my Instagram, Veena Jetti, VeenaJetti, or you can go to veenajetti.com and everything's there. But you'll find me if you just look for me on social. I'm everywhere.
Perfect. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to wait 3 years again before I have you back on a podcast.
Please, let's do this again.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you have a great day. I appreciate it. And everybody, thanks for being here. Remember, we're here every Thursday morning at 8:30 Central Time. Hope you take this to heart today. Be at the summit. If you are on the edge waiting to make a decision or decide whether you should buy a ticket and get involved, I'm going to tell you from a place of where I should have gotten a coach a lot earlier. I should have gotten a little bit of training a lot earlier. Do it today, because as Veena said, we are going into the best environment we've seen in years for multifamily investing. So look forward to seeing everybody, and you have a